your college performance does not relate to the National Football League. It never
they
does.
played side by side with each other, and he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. That's an issue. That's a major issue.
It wasn't that he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers.
Ever got to Texas.
It wasn't that he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. It was Quinn Ewers' program, which Steve Sarkisian made very clear the entirety of the time that Arch Manning was in Austin. So for you to argue that because Ewers is a 7th-round pick, Arch Manning is not that good and not deserving of being first overall is asinine. It is wrong. It is incorrect.
I told you he's going to be number 1 overall. My whole thing was I'm buying
you're doing your thing now where you double down on a tape
no, I'm not doing that. The best quarterback prospect to ever hit college football can't play
He's
over
not,
a 7th-round pick.
There were 2 perfectly rated quarterback recruits in the history of the sport.
Quinn Ewers couldn't even play at Ohio State. He couldn't even play at Ohio State.
Quinn Ewers. Go look it up.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 3, our third and final live right here on this Tuesday morning on the Early Line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. One more hour to go up until 11 a.m. Eastern time to preview in full a doubleheader of Game 5 action around the NBA postseason tonight in one spot in Cleveland. The number 1 overall seed in the East. The Cavaliers are on the brink of elimination, and the Indiana Pacers can clinch a second consecutive bid to the Eastern Conference Finals with a win tonight, although Cleveland a pretty hefty favorite despite some injury concern entering Game 5 for the Cavs. In the other, a decisive Game 5 in Oklahoma City, where the other 1 seed out west, that would be the Thunder, are heavily favored to take a 3-2 series lead against Denver, but will it be that comfortable and that simple? We discuss here in this third and final hour. We'll get some help in doing so with Bryan Fonseca later on here in hour number 3. Plenty of MLB previews from the mind of DRS as well here in this third hour as well.
Some rain in the forecast today. Major League Baseball might impact some of these games here, but hopefully the temperatures do stay warm enough where we can get that ball to travel, but also understand we will talk Major League Baseball. We will handicap Major League Baseball. The topics continue to roll. 2 hours down, 1 hour to go, and another bad poll by the SportsGrid Network on our Fade the Public. Yeah, let me tell you.
When you call it a bad poll, like, do you know who you are directly referring to?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do? That doesn't stop you from, despite all the hard work that he does. All right.
No.
Fair enough. I get it. I understand it. But there was a change to accommodate things for Donnie Rightside today, and yet still considering it a bad poll. Regardless, we hear from the people. Time now for Fade the Public. At SportsGrid on Twitter, who will win tonight's NBA playoff games? Yesterday, when a similar question was asked for our doubleheader on a Monday evening, Donnie's issue with the Fade the Public poll wasn't necessarily the answers or the context. It was the fact that he misread the answers because of a plus sign, meaning our 2-leg money line parlay for the 2 teams to win outright. So he asked for a slight change in the verbiage, or at least the structure. No longer a plus, but an and symbol in there. Joe Frieso, our producer extraordinaire, accommodates today, and yet DRS still has an issue. Tough scene, man. Very tough scene.
No, see, the issue is not with the N sign or the plus sign. It's the Cavaliers
was
Nuggets,
yesterday.
Cavaliers Thunder, Pacers Nuggets, Pacers and Thunder. But that's the and sign isn't the difference. It's that there's two on each line. I told you, we just want to have one name on one line that we can vote for. Now, I don't do anything on purpose just to set up content. Sometimes it just happens, and me looking at the poll, realizing myself, oh, look at this. It happened again. You know what I voted for? Pacers and Nuggets. I don't think the Pacers and the Nuggets are both winning tonight. So there you go. Terrible poll once again, where the mind is getting tricked here because, like, wait, Cavs, Nuggets, let me think. No, it's Cavs, Thunder, not a Pacers, Nuggets, Pacers, Thunder, Thunder, Pacers, Nuggets, Pacers. It's ridiculous here. So I voted in the 21.4%, and I don't even want to be in that 21.4%. So all of these fugazi numbers that we're getting back to the people, just like myself, are having too much to think about early in the morning. One team per line, end of story, get the real poll up here. And that's why we only got like 103 votes. It's too much thinking. It's too much nonsense.
But if we were to ask DRS on a night where the Cavaliers, despite facing elimination, are a 7.5-point home favorite in the land, in the 1 seed in the Western Conference, is an 11.5-point favorite against the Denver Nuggets. If we were just to ask the 4 teams that play tonight, Pacers, Cavs, Nuggets, and Thunder, to pick one team to win, it would make most sense for the public just to select Oklahoma City because they're a double-digit home favorite tonight. So would we be getting the best of this poll either way?
How about just which team covers? +7, -7, +4, -4. Easy. Like click on, couple hundred votes, easy prospects. I'm telling you. And I'm glad it worked out this way because I didn't even realize I voted wrong until I actually just reopened up the app when we're getting ready for the segment. Like, oh, look at that. Pacers and Nuggets. I don't think the Nuggets win tonight, but somehow I voted that way because it's a convoluted section where it's just millions of names in there with an N sign. Like, hey, pick your poison. Maybe one of them's right.
So for a guy that at times would rather talk about anything than break down an NBA game regardless of its regular or postseason for a third time in an hour, our producer Joe Frieso just sent me a note. He asked, would you like the opposite? He changes the poll, but then we have to do each game in its own segment, having to break down games for even a larger amount of time, to which I would actually say I'm Team DRS here. We wouldn't have to do that. We could still break down both games in the same segment if we gave those 4 options for the public there. No, we would have plenty of time. In fact, maybe even less time in doing so. So maybe I'm kind of with Donnie here. We do it a little bit more creatively tomorrow for our doubleheader of Game 5s that we'll have and 2 series clinching potentials, with the Knicks on the road in Boston and the T-Wolves back at home in Minnesota. Let's get to the actual games tonight, DRS. I might have overinflated OKC's spread. They're just a 10.5-point favorite tonight in Oklahoma City in game number 5. The Cavaliers are a 7.5-point favorite at home, despite some injury concerns. Donovan Mitchell said he will be good to go, but he missed the entirety of the second half in the Game 4 rout against Indiana in Indianapolis on Sunday night. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, DeAndre Hunter should all be there as well. So DRS, your own Fade the Public poll. Who has the best chance of covering tonight in our 2 games on this Tuesday in the NBA playoffs?
Probably the Pacers for me, even though you never want to get caught up in that public dog at this point. We see them getting 7.5 points in just about every outlet, including the FanDuel Sportsbook. I think I have a better read on the Pacers-Cavaliers game because I'm not expecting a Cleveland Cavaliers blowout in any fashion, or the same way with the Pacers. I do think this game plays within double digits either side, and we get a pretty clean game all the way through, understanding that there is no tomorrow if the Cleveland Cavaliers lose this game on their home court. They're going to throw the kitchen sink, but is the kitchen sink already broke with Donovan Mitchell, who maybe he's not 100% in this game, and a couple of other starters and bench players the same way? Boy, that Nuggets-Thunder game that I look at here, and that 10.5-point spread, I'm telling you right now, like Denver could win this outright. Denver could lose with under 10 points. OKC can win under 10 points, or OKC can win by 35 points tonight. So, I'm not going to blow the pick that I like in this, but there is always my favorite break in case of emergency, right? You ever see the glass knock through it there? And I pulled out a certain player, Ben, which I'll tell you later in this hour who that player is going to be. But I got to tell you, I have no feel for that Nuggets-Thunder game at all for that spread. It could be close, or it could be an absolute blowout here.
Denver has covered in 3 of 4 games. The Nuggets have been an underdog of at least 5 points in all 4 games so far. Denver has been nearly, in fact, they were a double-digit dog in Game 1, a double-digit dog in Game 2. They won outright in Game 1. They got shellacked by 43 points in Game 2. So Donnie's idea that he has very little sense of what to do is correct. We have not seen, at least in Oklahoma City, the Nuggets cover, keep a game competitive, lose by about 8, but OKC wins outright. We did see that ever so slightly in Game 4. The Thunder, a 6.5 point road favorite, won that game by 5, 92-87. DRS, we talk about the public and how they approach these games. 80% of the bets on the spread for Pacers-Cavs Game 5, backing Indiana, and yet the line kind of working at Cleveland. More on the early line next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Live right here on this Tuesday morning on the early line on SportsGrid from the mind of Donnie Rightside. Your Tuesday slate around Major League Baseball. A very full one to break down for you here on TEL. DRS longest active win streak in Major League Baseball, St. Louis Cardinals, winning their 9th consecutive game, 3-2 yesterday in Philadelphia. Longest active win streak in the American League, that would be the Minnesota Twins. They have won 8 consecutive games, hoping for 9 in a row. Today, heading to Camden Yards in Baltimore against an Orioles team that, oh boy, just been wildly disappointing to start off this Major League Baseball season. Cade Povich on the bump for Baltimore, and the O's remain a slight money line favorite inside Camden. Is it correct, DRS, to see the Twins hoping for 9 straight wins, being a road dog against a disappointing Baltimore team to start?
Yeah, probably so, but also understand this. We're on the East Coast. It's rainy conditions all day long. 65 degrees, but rain in the forecast all the way through. Winds blowing in from right field at 14 miles an hour. It's not a great offensive day, but you see the total at 9. We're still expecting runs. Why? Simeon Woods Richardson, not a great pitcher. Neither is Cade Povich. You take a look at Woods Richardson on the season, 118 xFIP minus number. If you're just using that number to say, well, I don't understand what's a 118 mean. 100 is average. Anything above that means the pitcher is not pitching up to his capabilities here. He's got a 4.01 ERA, which isn't too bad, but a 4.79 xFIP number. You should be able to hit him. And also understand this, looking at Jackson Holliday, Gunnar Henderson, and Ryan O'Hearn over the past 30 days against right-handed pitching, they've been stellar. So maybe some power shots here from the left, but also understand this, as I just told you. Only 65 degrees, there's rain, and the wind is blowing directly in from right field. Now, granted, you do have the warehouses in the back, so it mitigates some of that wind, but not a great hitting environment. Cade Povich on the other side for Baltimore coming in at a 107 xFIP minus, which isn't bad, but a higher ERA of 5.55 and a 4.36 xFIP number overall. So you just saw, okay, who's the favorite going to be? I do believe it probably should be Baltimore, but it's not one of those runaway games, and that's why we're priced appropriately. A couple decent guys in the lineup, Byron Buxton with some power shots and Carlos Correa, but they haven't hit overall as a team, left-handed pitching all that well. I would give the slight favorite here overall to the Baltimore Orioles. Same thing as that price point at minus 126.
In DRS, it's not as though Minnesota got off to a flying start this year. Before this 8-game win streak, the Twins 13-20, 7 games sub 500. The Baltimore Orioles 10 games sub 500 before the weekend. They took 2 of 3 against the LA Angels to win their weekend set. But again, still 15-24 right now for Baltimore. Minnesota back above 500, courtesy of these 8 consecutive wins. Next up, we go out to the Pacific Northwest. The Yankees winning the opener yesterday, plating 11 runs against the Seattle Mariners. Max Fried, who has been sensational in his debut year in pinstripes, hopes to continue that today. The Yankees a road favorite in Seattle, minus 142 on the money line. Limited total, the over-under stands at 7. What's the play tonight in Seattle?
Yeah, last night you did like some runs there. They did get there. A couple RBI props that I thought were unique yesterday were Cal Raleigh. He hits a home run, so does Jorge Polanco. That worked out. But today, maybe a different story. 64-degree temperatures in the Pacific Northwest. 8-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to left field. So a decent hitting day there in the Pacific Northwest. But understand this. You got 2 good pitchers on the mound. And how about this? Of 31 pitchers on the card today with xFIP numbers, number 6 on that card is Bryan Wu. An 85 xFIP minus a 3.25 ERA and a 3.49 xFIP number, which is great. Number 11 on the card is Max Fried. He's got an unbelievable ERA of 1.05 and 87 as an xFIP minus, which is good, and a 3.56 xFIP number. So even as I look at the offenses here, right, going up against Bryan Wu, Grisham's got great numbers. Judge has great numbers. Ben Rice has great numbers against right-handed pitching. The pitching is probably going to win out tonight. Now, if we're looking also at a Seattle lineup, it looks good. Like, Seattle never looks good over the past 5 years. What if I would have told you tonight the anticipated hitters coming into versus a left-handed pitcher, 7 of the 9 have elevated weighted on base percentages? You might be thinking to yourself, yes, let's get some runs. Now, granted, 3-3 automatically gets you a push, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but I do see one of those games like 2-1 after 5 innings, bullpen hold it down, 4-3 final maybe, which isn't enough to get you the win if you take the over, but certainly you get the push with the 7. This is a tough one. I lean under in this environment, even though, as I said, we got some pretty good hitters, but usually the pitchers will win out in a pitcher's ballpark.
Yeah, probably so. Bryan Wu, great on that side for Seattle. Nobody really better than Max Fried right now. 6-0 with a 1.05 ERA. 8 starts this year for the Yanks. He has allowed just a total of 6 earned runs, DRS. He has allowed 1 single earned run in his last 4 starts. Came on a solo shot against the Padres last week on a Wednesday. By the way, yesterday at the Dish, you mentioned Trent Grisham. 2 home runs out of the leadoff spot for Aaron Boone and New York. Aaron Judge in the 2-hole, 2 of 3 at the Dish with an RBI, now batting .414. this season. We head to Detroit yesterday in the Motor City in the series opener against the Red Sox. The Tigers plated 14 runs and had 18 hits as a team. They hammered the Red Sox 14-2. Today, the Red Sox, an ever so slight money line pick'em favorite, -112 now. That updated number, you see it there. Total 8.5. DRS, you expected runs yesterday in Detroit. Probably not all one-sided coming from the Tigers. Do you think we see more offense today in the Motor City?
We could understand this, though, too. Rain is in the forecast, 68-degree temperatures, and another double-digit wind blowing in from right field. So not great, batting efficiency numbers here just for the weather itself. And also not really a hitter's ballpark overall, more of a pitcher's ballpark in Detroit. You take a look at Bryan Bayo, and he comes in with a 2.01 ERA, but a 4.72 xFIP number. What that means is he's getting a little bit lucky here. A 116 xFIP minus, which is elevated as well. But take a look at this. This is where some of those analytical numbers don't match up with your eye test, right? Tyler Holton comes into this game with an 83 xFIP minus and a 3.12 ERA and a 340 xFIP number. You say, but Donnie, that's all correlates together. Well, take a look at the individual statistics here for that pitcher on the season. For the full length of the season, he's only had 72 batters that he's faced here, but lefty batters, 24 of them, gotten the best of them as a left-handed pitcher. 286 ISO and a 373 weighted on base percentage. In the last 30 days, both lefties and righties have gotten the best of them here. So are you trusting the underlying metrics of that pitcher or the damage that has been done over the past 30 days against them? Boston should wake up tonight. But yesterday just showed me, I don't know what that lineup does sometimes on a day-to-day basis. Really hard to get a grasp on this game tonight for me.
More around MLB next. Your college performance does not relate to the National Football League. It never does.
They played side by side with each other, and he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. That's an issue. That's a major issue.
It wasn't that he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers.
Ever got to Texas?
It wasn't that he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. It was Quinn Ewers' program, which Steve Sarkisian made very clear the entirety of the time that Arch Manning was in Austin. So for you to argue that because Ewers is a 7th-round pick, Arch Manning is not that good and not deserving of being first overall is asinine. It is wrong. It is incorrect.
He's going to be number 1 overall. My whole thing was I'm buying him.
You're doing your thing now where you double down on a tape
no, I'm not doing that. The best quarterback prospect to ever hit college football can't play.
He's
over
not, though. There were 2 perfectly rated quarterback recruits in the history of the sport.
Quinn Ewers couldn't even play at Ohio State. He couldn't even play at Ohio State.
Quinn Ewers. Go look it up.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Longest active win streak in Major League Baseball. Make it 9 in a row for the red-hot Redbirds of St. Louis. The Cardinals, 9 consecutive wins, trying for 10 today in Philadelphia against Donnie's Philadelphia Phillies. Much like yesterday, the Phils will enter the second game of this midweek set. A home money line favorite inside Citizens Bank Ballpark, but it was the Cards yesterday winning 3-2, courtesy of a Mason Wynn solo shot in the 7th inning. That was the difference to give St. Louis their 9th consecutive win. The Cardinals winning outright. Sonny Gray gets the start today for St. Louis. Jesus Luzardo on the other side for Philly. You saw the number there. The Phillies expected to end the win streak for the Cards. Does it actually happen today, DRS, at the bank?
I don't know. Do we actually play the game is the bigger question here. Rain in the forecast all morning, all afternoon, and all evening tonight. We usually know how that typically plays out. 65-degree temperatures, wind blowing slightly out to left field at 11 miles per hour. More of a crosswind, though, from right foul pole to left foul pole. Yesterday, we did like the under, and that was a good hitting environment game, Ben. 70-degree temperatures, winds blowing out yesterday, still stayed under. And I think we get that same type of game tonight. Now, granted, if there is rain and they play, does that mean we get a rain delay, knocks these starting pitchers out? You're dealing with the bullpens, and your handicap goes up a little bit in smoke. We take a look at Jesus Luzardo on the card today of 31 pitchers ranked. He's number 3 with an xFIP minus of 81, an ERA of 2.11, and an xFIP number of 3.25. You take a look there at Sonny Gray. He comes in here with an 86 xFIP minus number and also a 3.50 ERA with a 3.45 xFIP number. 2 pitchers coming in very good form against 2 pretty good hitting lineups. I'm going the same direction I did yesterday. If it plays and we don't get delays, both of these pitchers should be in line for good performances, and maybe we're getting another 3-2 outcome. Do the Phillies get the slight lean because they're home at minus 158? Yes, they do. But I actually like to say, I don't know if we get 8 runs tonight, but again, I don't know if we play this game either.
Yeah, it's a good point, DRS. As you said, a lot of rain expected today and really tomorrow and even early on Thursday along the eastern seaboard here in the East Coast. Let's head out to the other coast by the bay in San Francisco. The Arizona Diamondbacks, courtesy of Corbin Carroll, who hit 2 solo dingers yesterday against the Giants, beat the Giants 2-1 in the series opener between these divisional foes. Pretty tightly contested, we expect tonight as well. Brandon Pfaadt gets the start for Arizona. Robbie Ray on the other side for the Gigantes. Total 7.5 tonight out west. DRS, what's the play today between the D-backs and the Giants?
Yeah, we'll take a look at Brandon Pfaadt coming into this game at a 92 xFIP minus, which you like to see. Comparable ERA 3.28 and a manageable xFIP number at 3.68. But pitching better as of late is Robbie Ray. He's still got a 104 xFIP minus, which is slightly above average. But you look at that ERA at a 2.84. Here's the problem that we have. 61-degree temperatures, San Francisco. The marine layer will be there. Even though, again, Donnie, 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out the dead center field every single game. It's 10 to 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing out the dead center field. That's not a change in San Francisco, just where that ballpark is built and where the wind actually travels. But here's the issue I have with Arizona. We said, okay, Robbie Ray is pitching better. The one thing that they didn't do all that well is hit left-handed pitching, specifically over the past 30 days. You do have some guys with some high elevated ISO power numbers like Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, and Lourdes Gurriel, but the rest of that lineup leaves a lot to be desired here. You flip it back over to the other side with San Francisco and say, all right, where are they coming up with against right-handed pitching? Should be really good, right? Not necessarily the case. Yastrzemski, Chapman, and Ramos, all high numbers here, along with Willy Adames, but everybody else not so high. The walk rates, though, are pretty impressive for San Francisco if they can work that going up against Brandon Pfaadt. The only problem is Pfaadt doesn't work that many people here. Last 30 days, 4.8%. On the season, 4.6%. So those free passes aren't coming along. So once again, looking at this game, you know I love my overs. This game looks like an under as well, Ben.
Yeah, 7.5 that total out in San Francisco. And 2 pretty good pitchers, at least in recording some decisions this year, DRS. 9 starters qualified around MLB with already 5 wins this season. Robbie Ray's got 5. Brandon Pfaadt tied for the league lead. He's got 6. Yeah. I want to direct your attention, DRS, quickly to Max Fried. We talked about how great he has been. 6-0, matching the best record in Major League Baseball to begin. Most wins for a starter. 1.50 ERA, best in the bigs, and yet still 4th best price to win the AL Cy Young at plus 550. I found that interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting because usually it's really an environment. How many strikeouts are you getting? And for Max Fried, he's been okay, 22% K rate. But in order to get that Cy Young, you want the low ERA, you want the high, super high strikeout numbers. But also, if you pile up wins, that always helps. And also, the extracurriculars, right? The Yankees are in it at the end of the season. You're pitching in more high leverage situations, and the public understands that as well. He's having a fine season so far. Just need to get those Ks up a little bit for him. That's all.
Tarek Skubal backing up his American League Cy Young award-winning season.
Real good.
Favored right now at plus 160. Doubleheader of NBA playoff action. That's right next.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They've won 7 in a row. They've been dominant at Citi Field. Lindor's been insane. Pete Alonso's been raking.
Griffin Canning, David Peterson, those guys have pitched really, really well. And when you put it together with that lineup, especially like you said, Lindor's been great. They've got the makings of something very special in Queens.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Derek Carr has called it a career after 11 NFL seasons.
I think they knew before the draft that they had to make a move at this point. And by the way, Derek Carr did have a pretty good career. Made as many Pro Bowls as Eli Manning. So based on that, he should go to the Hall of Fame like Eli Manning. Well, Eli Manning does have a couple rings at that point, but always wanted to take a shot at Manning, who should not actually be in the Hall of Fame. Shouldn't be questioned an under 500 quarterback for his career. Stop the Manning.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A doubleheader of Game 5 action tonight in the NBA postseason. In one spot, our first game of the night, you would expect the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference to be the one that could pull off the gentleman's sweep and have that series clinching potential. Not the case. Cleveland Cavaliers down 3-1 in the series against the Indiana Pacers, hoping to stave off elimination. We also have the other 1 seed out in the Western Conference returning home in a series tied at 2 games all, and the Thunder expected to take that 3-2 series lead tonight. So let's start in Cleveland first and foremost. The Cavaliers, DRS, despite being on the brink of elimination and having their wildly successful season come to a close once again in round number 2, a 7.5-point favorite tonight against the Indiana Pacers. You see that total? It is up there for Game 5, now standing at 230. DRS, when this line opened up after Indiana's decisive 20-point win, but up by 41 at the halftime break on Sunday in Indy in Game 4, that number was 6.5. All right, makes a lot of sense. Indiana going to be competitive, but we still give the odds makers their respect in terms of the ratings on Cleveland all year long. But hey, Darius Garland didn't play in the second half of Game 4, undergoing an MRI yesterday. He is more than likely ready to go, but clearly not at 100%. The Cavs have been the team dealing with health concerns throughout this second round set. So why is the line working more to Cleveland, especially when 80% of the bets on the spread right now on FanDuel are backing Indiana? To me, DRS, that would be some fishy line movement. What say you?
It does, because now understand this too. Like if Donovan Mitchell was 100% healthy and the rest of the Cleveland Cavaliers, I would say the 7.5 makes a lot of sense. Last stand for a team that's the number 1 overall seed in the Eastern Conference. They don't win, there is no tomorrow. That smells like a 15, 20-point victory for Cleveland because they absolutely have to have it. And then you also take the notion that the Pacers will be like, you know what, we'll put our best foot forward. But if it doesn't work out, we still have 2 more games, including 1 game in our building. Let's not get injured or waste any extra energy here. Let's get back to Indiana and let's close this thing out. So I look at the FanDuel Sportsbook and say to myself, well, okay, if I'm getting Donovan Mitchell as a true game time decision, which means he's not 100% healthy, but we're still hanging 27.5 points props for him and a heavy line on the Cavaliers, I don't understand how that makes a lot of sense. Because also understand this, it's not 2-2. It's not 3-1 for the Cavaliers where they're banged up and on their home court. I understand that, yes, they're down in the series, they need the game, but they're down in the series for a reason. They haven't played as well for the Pacers. Now the expectations are my one guy that can give me a 50 spot, if he's healthy, to carry us and force a game number 6 is a game-time decision, and I'm supposed to just bet into the Cleveland Cavaliers once again. I understand the public sentiment and why we're backing the Pacers, and rightfully so. Does it scare me a little bit? Not necessarily. Could they get blown out? Yes. But again, if I'm 100% healthy Cavaliers team, they might blow the Pacers out. If Mitchell is hobbled in any way and scores 22 points, they're not blowing the Pacers out. I'm sorry.
But, yeah, and Donnie, as we kind of alluded to in the series between the Knicks and the Celtics, yes, Jason Tatum suffered what appears to be an incredibly significant injury with about 3 minutes remaining in regulation. But the Knicks are up 3-1 and have dramatically come back in their 3 wins in this series, where Tatum has been out there, and even including last night, Tatum was wonderful with a 42-point performance. Sure, Donovan Mitchell did not play in the second half of game number 4. He could have gone out there and scored 50 in the second half, and it probably wouldn't have been enough against Indiana, who led by 41, 80-39 at the break in game number 4. So even if Donovan Mitchell is out there, and even if Donovan Mitchell is 95% effective, and even if Donovan Mitchell flirts with that points prop that is listed currently at 27.5, doesn't mean I don't believe the Pacers can win this game outright. They have been at least a 5-point dog in all 4 games in this series. They have won all 3 of their victories here in this set outright as an underdog. It's been the story for an Indiana team all year long, DRS, that is now 19-18 straight up as an underdog, including the regular season, 20-16-1 against the spread, 4-2 both outright and ATS as an underdog in this postseason. The Pacers are just a really darn good basketball team that is incredibly talented, has a lot of balance and depth in all victories for Indiana so far in the playoffs, all 7. They've had at least 6 players score in double figures. I think we see that continue tonight. But it is a very big public versus sharp, or public versus odds makers type game, where if the public is correct, the line move to Cleveland is going to look funny. If the odds makers are correct, the public in 80% of the bets on the spread backing the Pacers as the road underdog tonight is going to look comical.
And also understand this, too, as we're trying to line up where these spreads will actually be at game time. The overnight line, once that last game ended, Ben, was 9.5. Now, the expectations are Mitchell might not play, could be banged up, has dropped that down to 7.5 across the board, which includes the FanDuel Sportsbook. The total dropping a little bit from 231.5 down to 230. Now, if we get that information in the afternoon, no restrictions on Donovan Mitchell, even if they're lying or not, and you see pregame warm-ups where everything looks okay, that number is going to go higher from 7.5. But if you are going to get news that this quote-unquote true game-time decision really is a true game-time decision, and he doesn't look like he's running around all that well, which I'm not anticipating that to happen, then that line will shrink. But for me, I'm expecting everything to say Donovan Mitchell is playing, he's in the starting lineup, he looks fine. You should wait probably towards closer to game time if you want the Pacers, because I think that line is going to go higher, which is interesting, as you pointed out, because the heavy amount of public tickets and money coming in on the Pacers, but that only changes on Donovan Mitchell and what we get this afternoon from some sort of press release or an NBA beat or an inside reporter there.
Yeah, DRS, we saw for game 2, right? The absence of Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, DeAndre Hunter moved an 8.5, 9-point spread down to 5.5. But when everybody was fully healthy on both sides, no Darius Garland for Cleveland in game 1 of this series, it was an 8.5-point spread in favor of the Cavs at home. Just to represent once again how deep Indiana is in this postseason, they've got 6 guys currently on the FanDuel Sportsbook with a double-digit points prop, and Obi Toppin at 8.5. Those 6 guys, Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton, both at 16.5. Miles Turner, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, and Benedict Mathurin, who might be looking to air out a little of that anger after being ejected early in the opening half in game number 4. Keep an eye on Halliburton. Hasn't been great scoring last 2 games in Indianapolis. I would go over 16.5 for him. 27.5, the points prop. for Donovan Mitchell. If Spider's not there, though, yeah, it gets really, really dicey for Cleveland. Second game of the night, DRS, you said early. Oklahoma City back at home in OKC, 10.5-point favorite against the Denver Nuggets. Hard for you to get a read on this game. Where do you start to try to find your breakdown?
Yeah, trying to understand what's supposed to take place here, right? OKC, the number one team in the NBA, number one overall seed. The capabilities to blow out the Denver Nuggets, they've done that already in this series. But also understand this: the Denver Nuggets are good. The Denver Nuggets are healthy. The Denver Nuggets have Nikola Jokic. The Denver Nuggets have won a game on OKC's home court here. So it's not as if, hey, Ben, first two games, 40-point victories. Ooh, close ones in Denver. Then you head back to OKC, and it's another 40-point game. That hasn't been the case at this point. I'm expecting a big performance out of Nikola Jokic, but the reason I bring this up is we never understand the true elements of, okay, Oklahoma City, how good are they, and how good will they be at home? Understanding that, yes, we got momentum back. It's 2-2. Let's seize it. Let's blow them out. But also the mentality of Denver. Do they want to lose this game? No, they don't. But also understand it's not the worst thing in the world if we lose. Then we go back home to game 6, force to game number 7, and see what happens in this spot, which always brings me up to Russell Westbrook at this point. 10.5 is his points prop. He's blowout proof. He will play 28 minutes regardless. If you're up 30 or down 30, that's where I look in this game. I don't want to be left holding the bag with the Nuggets getting 10 points and be like, man, it's 30 at the break. And I'm like, okay, let's take the game off and head back. Give me Russell Westbrook. We'll be just fine.
Bryan Fonseca helps us break down the action. More next. Your college performance does not relate to the National Football League. It never does.
They played side by side with each other, and he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. That's an issue. That's a major issue.
It wasn't that it wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers.
Ever got to Texas.
It wasn't that it wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. It was Quinn Ewers' program, which Steve Sarkisian made very clear the entirety of the time that Arch Manning was in Austin. So for you to argue that because Ewers is a 7th-round pick, Arch Manning is not that good and not deserving of being first overall is asinine. It is wrong. It is incorrect.
He's going to be number 1 overall. My whole thing was I'm buying
you're doing your thing now where you double down on a take that is incorrect.
The best quarterback prospect to ever hit college football can't play.
He's
over
not
a 7th-round
There were
pick
two
who didn't even
perfectly
play
rated
good.
quarterback recruits in the history of the sport.
Quinn Ewers couldn't even play at Ohio State. He couldn't even play at Ohio State.
Quinn Ewers. Go look it up.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Tuesday, 2 more games of NBA playoff action coming your way tonight. In Cleveland, the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference on the brink of elimination, trying to stave it off and extend the series against the Indiana Pacers. In our second game, the 1 seed in the Western Conference, the Oklahoma City Thunder expected in trying to take a 3-2 decisive series lead over the Denver Nuggets. Will it be that comfortable of a ride tonight for the Thunder against the Nugs? Bryan Fonseca here on this Tuesday to help us break down just that, and then maybe a few thoughts in our next segment on the New York Knicks, where their series stands against the Celtics, in the odd NBA draft lottery last night as well. Fonseca, as always, we appreciate the time. Thanks for being here bright and early on a Tuesday.
If you want a good rant out of me this morning, we could go to the lottery, but I know you don't want to start there, so we don't have to.
We'll finish there after DRS is gone, so he doesn't get to take part in it as he gets ready for radio, but you and I will have some fun ending out the show. Fonseca, let's start with our doubleheader of Game 5 action tonight in the NBA postseason. Let's start at the home of the East, number 1 seed, where Cleveland is trying to continue its season tonight. Down 3-1 against the Indiana Pacers. Some injury concern around Donovan Mitchell. The Cavs have dealt with some health concern throughout this series. Everybody has a points prop tonight. That's Spida, Hunter, Garland, and Mobley. We'll see how effective they can be in staving off elimination, which the odds makers expect to be the case. 7.5-point spread in favor of the Cavaliers at home, Fonseca, despite trailing in this series by 2 games, in the Pacers being an underdog, winning outright in 3 of the first 4. How do you approach Game 5 tonight with Indiana having the opportunity to clinch its 2nd consecutive berth in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Before I get to some bets, I'll just say, this sucks as somebody who really likes the Cavs this year and is basically defiant about they're not the Atlanta Hawks of 2015 with 60 wins, even though Kenny Atkinson was an assistant on that team. They're not that team. I think the Cavs are legit. Yeah. They came into the season without Darius Garland, and I think we may have underrated his impact, given that Darius Garland is an all-star, I think multiple times now, and is the table setter. He is a better playmaker than Donovan Mitchell from the standpoint of putting the ball in other people's hands. He's more of a quarterback of the offense. Donovan Mitchell is a top 10 player, I think, in the NBA. He is elite. He is awesome, but he is more of a scoring engine than just a passing engine. Darius Garland could do a little bit of both. He adds a dimension in a different way. He's their 2nd or 3rd best player from an offensive standpoint, depending on the night. And sometimes he's their best offensive player, depending on the night. So to come into the series shorthanded in that regard, and then to lose Game 1 and then lose Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter, you're without 3 of your 5 best players the 2nd game of the series. And I think that sort of just changed how this entire thing went, along with the fact that they blew Game 2 despite all of that. And we're in a position to have this 1-1 and potentially just be in a much, much better situation. You have this 2-2 instead going back to Cleveland. And I thought Cleveland would be more alive. That said, there's a world where they could at least force a Game 7. And if you could force a Game 7, anything could happen. Donovan Mitchell's health is the key. I'm actually on his over 27.5 points if he does play, because I feel like in no world is that not in no world is that not going to happen, because he can get hurt again or whatever. But the volume should be there. He's going to try to will this team again, like we saw previously in the series in games where he didn't get hurt. He's been going over consistently outside of, I think, including Game 1. I'm not remembering, but there was a stretch of 33, 48, 43, something along those lines, where he's just willing 25, 30 shot attempts, free throw attempts, just driving at all costs. He has to do it if nobody else is going to. Darius Garland's not in a position to do that and doesn't play that way anyway. He has a toe injury, which sucks. People who've ever had an injured toe and trying to move around on it, much less play NBA basketball on it in the playoffs, it sucks. And Evan Mobley, obviously, he's doing what he can. He's not 100%. And Jared Allen, it's been a pretty tough series for him. Not from a raw numbers perspective, but in other ways, Indiana's really hurt that matchup. So Indiana, I think, is super legit, really good team. But I like Donovan Mitchell over on points, 27.5. I like Miles Turner over on points. Actually, I got that at 14.5. He's been getting that a little bit lately. I worry about the volume because sometimes he'll only have 8, 9 shots. But if the majority of them are threes, then okay. And my favorite bet on the board is Max Strus over 2.5 threes. Max Strus is getting 3-point volume regardless of who's out there. And he's going to get minutes regardless of who's out there. He only played 22 minutes last game because they got their ass whooped. But Max Strus shot still 7 threes in 22 minutes, made 3 of them. And that's basically a 3 every 3rd minute. So I think Max Strus getting 3 threes, that should happen. It should happen. He should get that 3-point volume regardless of who plays.
Yeah, specifically Donovan Mitchell, if he is healthy, we saw that earlier where the team was down a couple starters and bench players and almost scores 50 points here. He needs a big game tonight to extend that series, but also a series that, regardless of a winner or loser tonight, will move on to game number 6. That's the Nuggets and the Thunder here, Brian. Take a look at the spread. It's heavy, minus 10.5 as a favorite towards the home team, the Thunder here, the total at 221. I can't get a grasp on this game overall either way. Help me out, Brian, with what we're looking at tonight between the Nuggets and Thunder from your perspective.
I'm struggling at this too, honestly, because Oklahoma City is Oklahoma City, but Denver, I mean, they're super tough.
Yeah.
That's been the word that's been thrown around, but also we haven't, and I try not to buy into this too much as it relates to certain playoff games. But in looking at Celtics Knicks, for example, we hadn't had the Brunson game. We haven't had the Tatum game. We got them both last night. We haven't had a Nikola Jokic, an absurd game from him yet, which tends to happen every series at least once. And it's not even that. He's been struggling this series in terms of offense, in terms of the turnovers. He has as many turnovers as he has assists, which you don't see from Nikola Jokic. And I wonder if this is going to be a game where he sort of snaps out of that. That being said, there's a couple of smart people that I trust and work with that are on Oklahoma City. This is a stay away from me because I just don't know. Live betting opportunities, I think, will present themselves. I do like the over rebounds and assists for Jalen Williams, 9.5, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for 12.5. I do like those a little bit. And those, Jalen Williams tends to get to 11. He hasn't the last couple of games. I think he could bounce back in that regard.
DRS, we bid you adieu. We send you to Moneyline. Have a great show. Fonseca and I continue here on TEL up next.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They've won 7 in a row. They've been dominant at Citi Field. Lindor's been insane. Pete Alonso's been raking.
Griffin Canning, David Peterson, those guys have pitched really, really well. And when you put it together with that lineup, especially like you said, Lindor's been great. They've got the makings of something very special in Queens.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Derek Carr has called it a career after 11 NFL seasons.
I think they knew before the draft that they had to make a move at this point. And by the way, Derek Carr did have a pretty good career, made as many Pro Bowls as Eli Manning. So based on that, he should go to the Hall of Fame like Eli Manning. Well, Eli Manning does have a couple rings at that point, but always wanted to take a shot at Manning, who should not actually be in the Hall of Fame. Shouldn't be questioned an under 500 quarterback for his career. Stop the Manning.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Now, on this Tuesday, with a doubleheader of Game 5 NBA playoff action and one spot in the conference finals on the line, if Indiana can close out in only 5 over the Eastern Conference's #1 seed in Cleveland, things could get wild. Things could get weird, including our nightcap in Oklahoma City between the Thunder and the Nuggets. Might it be as wild as last night? That remains to be seen. And Fonseca, that was not just our doubleheader of action in the dramatic comeback for the Knicks in Game 4 against the Boston Celtics, but before either of our two playoff games began with the NBA draft lottery in Chicago. A 1.8% chance from the betting numbers, plus 3,900. The Dallas Mavericks cash a very long shot ticket and rejoice with the number 1 overall pick winning the draft lottery in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. Fonseca, there is so much to say, so I'll ask you a very open-ended question and take it whichever way you want. How in the world did the Mavericks end up with the first overall pick?
Listen, the NBA cannot let this happen. Ultimately, that's where I'm at. Like, you just can't. I don't care if the lottery is real or not. I'm sure it's real. And they actually did the lottery, like, in earnest and was like, all right, Dallas won it. It is what it is. Like, you cannot let this happen because now the Reddit conspiracies, I'm sure, have already started. Everyone's going to be a conspiracy theorist now saying that the lottery is rigged, that Nico Harrison knew what was going to happen. Like, oh, they're going to trade Luka Doncic because they know they're going to get Cooper Flag in the number 1 overall pick. Like, you open yourself up to all this BS. And if you're the league, you just cannot allow this. Like, you have to know the lottery results ahead of time, and you have to just be like, no, do it again. Like, just do the randomization again. Like, Dallas cannot win this, given what just happened. I legitimately don't think it's a good look for the league right now. That Dallas of all teams, they trade Luka and then they luck into Cooper Flag. And if you were a Mavs fan that was like, hey, I'm done with the organization, I wonder what you do now that you're getting Cooper Flag, who I don't think is going to be as good as Luka Doncic, but is probably going to be really good if you've seen him play before. Yeah. And then on top of that, you also like, this was like the worst outcome in terms of like deserve or whatever the case may be, because you have the Spurs getting the number 2 overall pick a year after getting Victor Wembanyama, a team who's already won the lottery multiple times, who got David Robinson and Tim Duncan, and is getting the number 2 overall pick, and it's probably going to be Dylan Harper. It surprised me if it's anybody else at this point. Yeah. But they could use that number 2 overall pick to potentially get Giannis Antetokounmpo. So you mean to tell me we could be in a world where a front court of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Victor Wembanyama exists? That's crazy to me. And then you have Philly getting the 3rd overall pick. That can't happen either. What have they done to deserve the number 3 overall pick? Now, if they get Ace Bailey, fine, because I'm not an Ace Bailey guy. But if they get, I know Big Ten, like, we can talk about it. But like, with the 76ers, it's like you got Tyrese Maxey. I don't know what's left of Joel Embiid at this point. We'll see. And then as it relates to everyone else on their team, Paul George is declining. So I guess that's fine, but it feels like bad karma won last night. And then Charlotte gets number 4. So is what it is.
It really did, Fonseca, right? Because not just the Dallas Mavericks, obviously that is the headline and should stand out, getting the first overall selection. The Spurs weren't necessarily one of the top 5 prices or top 5 chances to earn that number 1 overall pick. So the fact they moved up the draft order at number 2, and the Sixers, despite a miserable season and having the 5th best chance to earn that first overall pick, to stay within the top 6, to hold on to their first round selection and end up number 3. Like, come on now. For all 3 of those teams to go 1, 2, 3 is insane. I think our producer extraordinaire, Joe Frieso, crunched the numbers. It was like 0.0013% for those 3 teams in order to be drafting 1st, 2nd, and 3rd overall. It is insane. And whether you want to yell rigged, whether you want to dive into the deepest of conspiracy theories, I think what Fonseca said kind of hits the nail on the head. It is not a good look, at least based on the optics of it, for the NBA, its commissioner, Adam Silver, and the league office to have this be the case. Do it like the NHL draft lottery. Do the actual lottery selection live on television. Fun TV, honesty, and transparency. And we have no issues except for Nico Harrison getting to celebrate. The Mavericks fan base, they get to celebrate, not the front office. Bryan Fonseca, as always, we appreciate your time. Thank you for being here on this Tuesday morning. That does it for the early line. We return tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern on a Wednesday. Talk then.